Your friendly neighborhood Pudgy Parker here. Let's talk about Spider-Man Brand New Day. As you guys can see from the background title and thumbnail, we are talking about Spider-Man Brand New Day, baby. Oh my god, I've been so excited about this film, man. To the first day we ever got the first look at that suit when Tom Holland posted that little video, and then we got all those set photos and when he was fighting the tank and everything. This movie I knew it was gonna be fucking good. I knew it was gonna be good. You know, we have a new director on here, a new sort of era of Spider-Man. I mean, the No Way Home trilogy, or Homecoming trilogy, whatever we're gonna call it, that was, for all intents and purposes, not the Spider-Man I've been wanting. It's more of a teeny kind of high school era Spider-Man. Don't hate it. We'll talk about that when I do this Spider-Man ranking, but it's not the Spider-Man I've been wanting. This is the Spider-Man I've been wanting. I want the depressed Spider-Man. I want the doesn't have friends, doesn't have a life, doesn't have a job Spider-Man. Like, this is the Spider-Man I've been wanting. And we'll have a new director on here, Destin Daniel Cretton, and everything sounded like this was going to be potentially the best Spider-Man film we've ever had, just because everything that Tom Holland's been saying, everything that Dustin's been saying, even Marvel Studios themselves been saying, this is a street level grounded Spider-Man film. And I got to be honest, man. Just jumping right into it. This film is fucking amazing. Amazing. No pun intended, but this film is fucking amazing. So let's just get into this, man. And this also is going to be spoiler free. I'm going to make a spoiler video just so that way, because there are some things in here I need to talk about, but they involve spoilers. So all my spoiler thoughts will be in that video. My spoiler free thoughts will be here in this video. So don't worry, no spoilers. I'm not giving you no spoilers. But just gonna get right into this real quick. I thought this movie was fucking great. Now, I will start with my negatives first, just because they're like so fucking tiny and so like they're negatives, but they're not like I'm gonna gush more about this film than I am gonna shit on this film. So I just want to start with my negatives real quick. The only real major negative I really have with this film is the villain utilizations. I thought a lot of them were underwhelming, and they were kind of a little bit I'm not going to say wasted, because they had cool moments. They had very cool scenes with those villains, but it was one of those, you're handling iconic Spider-Man villains, like Scorpion that you see in the trailer, someone like Tombstone, what you also seen in the trailers, the Hand, even that's more of a Daredevil thing, but the Hand, villains and rogue galleries that are very important with Spider-Man. I felt like they just kind of underutilized them. Where we have our big main threat up here, which is, I'm not going to talk about. We have our big mystery villain up here that they've kept away from all the marketing and everything. That takes more of the runtime than these villains. And these villains like Scorpion, the Hand, all that, they just get kind of underutilized, where I'm like, man, you're handling Scorpion, you're handling Tombstone, you're handling iconic Spidey villains, and they don't get that much screen time, and they just kind of serve a little bit of the story, and that's it. I'm like, man, that's disappointing, because when you look at the marketing, the Hand's all over it, Scorpion's all over it, Tombstone's in it, and it's like, for these being big Spider-Man villains, they're kind of very underutilized in the film. That was like my major complaint about the villains. And there are some sequences that I just feel like drag on a little bit. I mean, this is arguably the longest or second longest Spider-Man film at 2 hours and 45 minutes. And there were some parts where I felt the runtime, especially in the first like 20 minutes. I love seeing Spider-Man do Spider-Man things, but after a while, it's like, all right, when's the plot going to kick in? When are we going to get into the meat of the story here, other than just we're seeing him being a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, which again, I love seeing that, but there comes a point where it's like, all right, I get the gist. I get he's been doing this for a couple of years now, and he's just mainly Spider-Man focused, but I don't need to see every little thing Peter was doing for the past 4 years, So those are like the main two negatives I really had with the film. Now let's just get on to the things I fucking loved, man. Dude, start off the fucking Spider-Man suit. Oh my god. Every shot that suit is in is just beautiful, man. Like, I don't get me wrong, the Homecoming suit was great. Seeing the original Steve Ditko, Stan Lee kind of inspired suit was great. The black and red Far From Home suit was even better. And of course, I liked his integrated suit from No Way Home. I thought that was great. But you gave him a practical suit in this one that is red and blue, classic Spider-Man. And there's not a bad, and I mean literally no ugly, no bad shot of this suit in the movie, dude. When I first saw that suit in the first 2 or 3 minutes of the film, when he's doing his web swinging, oh my god, my Peter tingle was going off, and it had me in the theater like, it's so beautiful. That's how fucking good it was. Yeah, dude, the fucking suit. It is arguably in the top three. Like, I love Toby's suit, and I love Andrew's suit from TASM 2. This suit is the best Tom Holland suit and one of the best Spider-Man suits. I can't wait to get to my suit ranking that I'm going to do this weekend as well, because this is going to be up there. This suit was beautiful. There was no bad shot in this film, and outside just just outside of the suit, the rest of this movie looked beautiful. Man, the cinematography was amazing. I could not gush the fact this movie looked great. I mean, again, no hate towards the Homecoming trilogy, but there were just some ugly shots in those trilogy. There was just some clearly obvious CGI scenes in those films. This one, it was all in camera. It was all practical, and you could feel it. You could feel the texture of his suit. You could feel the dirtiness of New York City when he's fighting like the Hand or other villains. You can feel the punches and the kicks and just the brutalness. I loved the cinematography in this film. This is arguably the best looking Spider-Man film. I used to always say TASM 2, for all of its faults, was the best looking Spider-Man film. I think this one tops TASM 2 with being the most beautiful looking Spider-Man. I mean, every shot in this film could be like a comic book page or a piece of art on your wall of just how beautiful this film looked. I mean, there were so many shots. I can't wait to talk about in the spoiler review. That just was like blood pumping. Peter Tingle was going. Web shooter was up and ready. I was so mesmerized by how the way this movie looked. Also, too, again, piggybacking off of that, the action sequences were the best Tom Holland's has been and has probably been since TASM 2 in terms of just action set pieces. We all love the Electro fight in TASM 2 when he's fighting in New York. There's so many sequences in this film that I'm like, oh my god, that was amazing. Too, him fighting the Hand that you've seen in the trailer, him fighting the Hulk, which we'll get into in a minute. There are so many action sequences in this film that I'm like, holy shit. And I love the little kicks and the twirls. It felt like Tom Holland and Dustin looked at the PlayStation 4 game and was like, we're doing that. Because there's so many scenes that I'm like, that was pulled straight from the PS4 video game. That look was pulled straight from the PS4 video game. And I loved that. Absolutely love it. They pulled from the video game of PS4 because that game is amazing for a fucking reason. And I love that was the blueprint for this film of we're pulling from the Spider-Man PS4 game. Because I'll talk about it in my spoiler review even more, but there was a certain action sequence that literally I'm like, that is the move from PlayStation. Like that is the square and circle combo move that you put in the video game that does that little thing. They ripped it straight from the video game. And I'm like, hell yes, dude. So other than that, I enjoyed all of the characters here. Every one of these Spider-Man films has to have an MCU thing. That's their deal. They always have to have one. Iron Man and Homecoming made sense, understandable. Didn't love Nick Fury in Far From Home. Thought that was kind of a really Nick Fury, okay. And then No Way Home, you had Doctor Strange. Again, makes sense, multiverse. I think this film is the best utilization of the Marvel MCU characters in the entire Tom Holland franchise of Spider-Man. The Hulk and Punisher here are just some of the greatest additions to Spider-Man that I didn't know I needed. Let's just start with the Punisher real quick. He is more than a cameo in this film. We were all wondering in the trailers, is he just going to be in the tank sequence? Is he, just going to be a cameo? No, he is like a side character. He is like how Toby and Andrew were in this film. Actually a side character. Like he's in it for way more than I thought he was going to be. And that was amazing. I mean, John Bernthal as Punisher is great as it is, but his chemistry with Tom Holland Spider-Man is some of the best chemistry probably since Tony and Steve. In just terms of bouncing off of each other, you love when they're on screen together. Their chemistry is amazing. The action sequences that we get between Punisher and Spider-Man just left a fucking grin on my face. And I was just so happy seeing those characters together. The big one that I'm like, I didn't know I needed until I saw it, Savage Hulk. Dude, this is the best Hulk has been, arguably, since 2003. I know people love Incredible Hulk, and I know people love the Mark Ruffalo and the 2012 Avengers. I think this is the best Hulk has been since '03. He is just so savage. He is mean. He's the monster Hulk that I'm like, yes, please. I hate the fucking way they've been utilizing Hulk for the past decade of just making him this misunderstood monster, or in Thor Ragnarok when he was a fucking baby and all that shit. Fuck all that. I want this version of Hulk where he is angry, he is storming through shit, he is just a monster to be reckoned with. And I loved that. I loved his voice too. I thought that was a perfect way to capture that monster thing. Where he's like, "No banner, only Hulk." Yes, bitch. Yes, bitch. Dude, that is fucking awesome. And the fact that we have Spider-Man and Hulk fighting in this film, that is like the early 2000s kids' dream right there, man. I was so happy during that fight, and it was such an awesome sequence. I will say, I hate that they spoiled so much of that fight in the trailer because yeah, they showed a lot of that fight in the trailer. I'll knock you for that. But dude, that is like top 5 MCU fights right there, dude. I loved the Spider-Man Hulk fight. It just left such a grin on my face. I teared up. I teared up out of happiness seeing Spider-Man and Hulk fight because that is just such an early 2000s kid's dream right there, man. All you had to do was add in Wolverine. You have the Marvel heroes. I don't know if you guys remember that back in the day. Marvel Heroes. That was everywhere at like your local Dollar Generals and Walmart. You always had Spider-Man, Wolverine, and Hulk. And that was it. That's all that fight was missing was Wolverine. And you had a 2000s kid's wet dream, man. Oh, it was so fucking peak. It was peak. But outside of that, I also loved the character. Like, obviously we knew MJ and Ned were going to be in there, but I loved how they utilized them. I loved how they didn't just jump right into retconning the spell. I love that how they touched upon it, and the way that they. I don't want to spoil it too much, but I loved that how they did that side of Peter's story of MJ and Ned. I liked how they did that. Again, I'll talk more about that in my spoilers. Also got to talk about I loved. I think this is honestly the best Tom Holland's been as Peter Parker. I loved seeing that. I loved seeing the depressed Peter. I loved feeling the emotion of like, no, he's just full-time Spider-Man. I loved that shit. I thought this is the best Tom Holland's been as Peter Parker. This is definitely the best that he's been as Spider-Man. Dude, and I will say too, I don't want to spoil anything about this character. We all know Sadie Sink is in the film. We all know her character is shrouded in secrecy. If you've done a little bit of digging on the interwebs, you kind of have an idea of who she's playing. I'm not going to confirm or deny who she is playing, but all I will say is I think Sadie Sink's character was great in the film. I have a lot of thoughts. I have a lot of things I want to say about her in my spoiler video, but just to keep it non-spoiler, I thought she did great. I thought she did really fucking well. I can't wait to see what her character does later in the MCU. Honestly, outside of that though, this film is great. Dustin, you need to come back and do the rest of this trilogy because this is arguably top 5 Spider-Man films of all time. Like honestly, you can't get better than this. This is the Spider-Man that we've been waiting since Tom Holland signed that contract back in 2016. This was the Spider-Man we've been waiting for, and I fucking love this film. Now, I will say real quick, there is a post-credit scene. There's only one. It's way at the end, so it's not like a mid. It's the end credit. And I gotta be honest, it sucked. It sucked. I don't think it's worth staying for, honestly, just because it doesn't make sense. And again, maybe I'll talk about that in my spoiler review as well. But it doesn't make sense. The post-credit scene. I'm like, huh, okay. Um, but yeah, guys. Other than that, man, I thought this movie was fucking great. I definitely, if you're a huge Spider-Man fan, you're gonna walk out web shooter ready and happy. Like the audience I went to go see it with was clapping through the whole fucking movie at certain points. I know I teared up like 3 different times just because out of pure like holy shit, this is awesome right here, man. This is badass. So yeah, guys, you guys jump in the comments. You let me know, what did you think of this film? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Where does this rank within your Spider-Man films? Jump in the comments. You guys let me know, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.